Today we're going to be talking about old kits and nostalgia that goes along with them, and why maybe building old kits isn't as fun as we once remember it. Let's get to it. Hey everyone, and welcome into the garage. And today we're talking about old kits and nostalgia, or nostalgia for old model kits. So on one of the model forums I am a member of, a couple weeks ago a member there posted a question asking about some recent reissues and why we haven't really seen a whole lot of them being built since they have been reissued. The kits in question are the Subaru Brat and the Dodge 78 D100 pickup truck kit. And he has a point. Since they've both been reissued, we haven't seen a whole lot of them built. At least I haven't. He hasn't, obviously. It doesn't mean they're not being built. They're just not necessarily maybe being posted, at least where we're looking. I have seen a couple of the Brats been built so far. Chuck Most built a couple of them. He did them in rustic style. Looked kind of cool. Fellow club member built one of the Dodge pickup trucks back a couple months ago for one of the monthly themes. I've seen a few others built here and there, but not a whole lot. Not a whole lot to go along with the excitement for the kits, and that's the other part of his question. There was so much excitement surrounding these kits, but then when they get released, we're not really seeing them being built. So what is going on here? And I think my opinion is it's just straight up nostalgia for these old kits. Not necessarily to build them, but just to have them because these old kits are taking these guys back to a time where they have fond memories of. And I kind of now I can relate a little bit to that too, because I've been having some nostalgia of my own here recently. But to the question that was asked, and I answered for the Brat kit, since I don't have the Dodge kit yet. My answer for this was, this is tooling from 1979. I'm in no rush to get this built. And that's basically it. I know that this is not a great kit from what I've heard, that it has its own issues, and it is tooling from 1979. So really, I really am in no rush to get this built. I will get it built hopefully soon, one day maybe. The other time I've had a little bit of nostalgia, which really wasn't necessarily nostalgia, but it was excitement for an old kit, and it was this one right here, the 1975 Datsun pickup, the second one I got. I think it was first issued somewhere in the mid-70s, I believe. I'm not 100% remember when exactly it was issued, but it's old tooling. And when I got back into the hobby about 2010, it was, give or take, this was on my list of kits that I wanted to build. And not really wanted to pay the expensive used market for it. Waited, my patience paid off, and round 2 finally reissued it, and I was so excited for it, counting down the days until it was released. I bought mine directly from round 2. Actually, they were having a special on free shipping at the time, so I got a fairly decent price on both kits. And then I started building it, and that was like the giant kick to the nuts. What a shitty kit this really is. This is not a great kit. And so all that excitement, everything I had looking forward to this kit just got flushed down the drain, just right down the drain. And that excitement turned to disappointment, and that's why the second one hasn't been built yet, just because I don't want to deal with that all over again. So not necessarily nostalgia, but I had excitement for an old kit that proved to be, not a great kit to build. It has its issues, fit issues, ride height, all that. It's just not a great kit to build, unfortunately. One day maybe I'll get the second one built. I don't know. We'll see. And then I've had some more nostalgia recently. I'm working on this project, Ernie Irvin, rebuilding some of my Ernie Irvin model kits from the 90s when I was a teenager. And that's a project to talk about for a whole other day. That just snowballed and got expensive and what have you. But I'm building some of those, and I started with, as you've already seen it, the late 80s, early 90s Thunderbird NASCAR kit. I don't have a whole lot of nostalgia for this one because I only built a couple of these when I was a kid. Just when I really started getting into NASCAR models, and I started building these, it was already getting out. It was they moved on to the next set of tooling for the NASCAR kits for the Thunderbirds anyway. So I only built a couple of them. I wasn't really fond with the tooling of this Thunderbird kit. It wasn't great. I don't think it was accurate either for the years, but that's a whole other topic for another day. And so that one, okay. But the real nostalgia started coming in when I started working on the 94, 95, 96 tooling that I'm currently doing now, which will be this one. And it goes with this one too. The chassis are the same, and they went to the new chassis for the kits. And then that's when the nostalgia really got to me. what I remember as a teenager was how much fun I had building NASCAR kits, how much fun they were, and I just had a blast. And I mean, I built a ton of them, and I think the nostalgia was coming from big Ernie Irvan fan, and I built a lot of Ernie Irvan stuff, and I think that's where that nostalgia was coming from. Because building it now, working with the current one, it's not as great as I was being led to believe. My nostalgia was making me think the kits were much better than they really were. And I started building them and getting getting it prepped and working, building it, slowly working on it. And I'm just like, wow, I don't remember it being this bad. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great compared to 2019 standards. You know, I was like, wow, I don't really remember it being this bad. But obviously, my nostalgia kicked in, and it was just because I just had so much fun during that time building my NASCAR kits. Because I built a ton of them. That's basically what I built in the 90s was NASCAR model kits. I built a ton of them, and so that's probably what it was really was going on was that nostalgia for just how much fun I had, not for the actual kits. And so now that I'm building them again, I'm realizing, well, these aren't really. I mean, they're good. They're just not as great as I thought they were. I mean, the new NASCAR kits that were released are blow these out of the water. I mean, they're really great. Now that I've building another one, they're really really good. And then it's funny, I didn't have nostalgia for that when I built all the Days of Thunder cars. Gosh, 4 or 5 years now ago. Didn't have any of that nostalgia for whatever reason. Maybe I wasn't old, and maybe I've aged a bit since then, so maybe that's why it's happening now and not then. I don't really know. I only built a few the Days of Thunder cars back then when those kits were released. So again, I'm not sure. So it's kind of weird. Now that I've aged a little bit, the nostalgia finally kicked in at least for these. So to get back to the question that was asked, I really do think it's straight up just nostalgia for the excitement for these kits that are getting reissued by round two. I think a small part will be for building, but I think the majority of the excitement we see, the buzz for these kits to get reissued is basically just for the nostalgia part. Just these guys are excited to be taken back to a time that they have a fond memory of, and that's what these kits are doing. I don't think it's anything really other than that. I mean, that's probably explains a good bit why we don't see a lot of them being built. Because let's be honest, a lot of them are not great kits to build. Old kits, just engineering wise, are not that great. We've come a long way from 20, 30, 40 old kits. The engineering has come a long way, getting much better kits now. Maybe one day Revell will join us too and catch up. Just kidding. I mean, kit wise, the kits are so much better today compared to the old kits, and so I think a lot of it is just straight up nostalgia. So that's my answer to his question. It's just a lot of it is nostalgia, and that's okay, I guess. But try not to build old kits if you can, because they're not that great. Of course, I'm just kidding. If that's what you want to build the old kits, have fun with them. I'm just kidding. So I think that's it. I think that is going to do it for this topic of nostalgia and old kits. Let me know below what you think. Is it nostalgia or is this something else? Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.